Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever met a woman who moves through life with a quiet confidence, a calm strength that commands respect without her saying a word? She is not loud, she is not attention-seeking, and yet her presence is undeniable. That's the kind of woman we're talking about today. A woman who spends time alone is a quiet, profound power in solitude that many underestimate. When a woman chooses to spend time alone, she isn't retreating from the world, she's stepping into herself. Solitude isn't loneliness. It's a sacred space where she can hear her own thoughts, feel her own emotions, and reconnect with her inner strength. It's a place where she is not defined by the noise of others, the demands of society, or the expectations placed upon her. It's in this space of intentional separation that her true power is revealed. When a woman is alone, she learns the value of her own company. Too often we are conditioned to believe that we need others to complete us, to validate our worth, to make us feel like we belong. But the truth is, when a woman discovers that she is enough on her own, she becomes unshakable. She no longer needs external approval or applause to know her value. She is free from the chains of people-pleasing, free from the exhausting pursuit of trying to fit into spaces where she was never meant to belong. This realization alone makes her dangerous because she is no longer dependent on others for her happiness. Her joy comes from within. In solitude, she has the opportunity to think deeply and clearly. There is no one around to influence her decisions or opinions. This is where she discovers clarity about who she is, what she wants, and where she is going. She can reflect on her dreams and passions without the distractions of the world pulling her in 100 directions. And in that clarity, she finds direction. A woman with a clear vision and purpose is a force of nature because she is focused, intentional, and unstoppable. Solitude also allows her to confront her fears and insecurities head on. It's easy to run from our emotions when we're constantly surrounded by people, noise, and distractions. But when she is alone, there's nowhere to hide. The negative feelings she might have buried deep within her surface, forcing her to face them. While this can be uncomfortable, it is also liberating. By sitting with her fears and understanding them, she learns to move through them rather than being controlled by them. She becomes resilient, unafraid to walk through the storms of life because she knows she has weathered them before. Alone. When a woman spends time alone, she also has the space to heal. Life is filled with challenges, heartbreaks, and disappointments, and these wounds can linger if left unattended. Solitude gives her the chance to process her pain, to feel it fully, and to release it. Healing doesn't happen in a rush or in the presence of chaos. It happens in the quiet moments when she allows herself to grieve, to forgive, and to let go. And as she heals, she becomes stronger, wiser, and more compassionate, not just toward herself, but toward others. Most importantly, solitude teaches a woman to trust herself. In a world that constantly tells her what she should do, who she should be, and how she should live, it takes courage to listen to her own voice. But in solitude, her inner voice becomes louder, clearer, and more certain. She learns to rely on her intuition, to trust her instincts, and to believe in her own ability to make the right decisions. Create the safety and protection of her own home, to share her own inspiration and opinion with her husband. This self-trust is the foundation of her confidence, and it makes her fearless in the face of uncertainty. There's something profoundly empowering about knowing that you can stand on your own 2 feet, that you can face life's challenges without needing someone to rescue you. A woman who has embraced solitude knows this truth deeply. She doesn't seek validation or permission because she doesn't need it. She operates from a place of inner strength and conviction, and that makes her unstoppable. The power of solitude is not just in being alone, it's in what you discover about yourself in that space. It's where you confront your fears, heal your wounds, and reclaim your power. It's where you stop seeking approval from the world and start giving it to yourself. And when a woman does that, she becomes a force to be reckoned with. Solitude doesn't make her weak. It makes her dangerous in the best possible way. Self-awareness is one of the most powerful and transformative tools a woman can possess, and it is often born in the quiet moments she spends alone. When a woman takes the time to reflect, to understand her own mind and heart, she steps into a realm of clarity that many never reach. This is not the type of power that comes from domination or control. It's a kind of power that comes from understanding herself so deeply that no one else's opinions, judgments, or limitations can shake her. That kind of self-awareness makes her dangerous, not to others, but to anything that seeks to hold her back. The process of becoming self-aware begins with honesty. It's not easy to sit alone with your thoughts and confront the raw, unfiltered truth about yourself. It takes courage to acknowledge your fears, your flaws, and the mistakes you've made. But this honesty is where growth begins. A self-aware woman doesn't shy away from her imperfections. She faces them head-on and owns them. She understands that her past doesn't define her, but how she chooses to respond to it does. This deep acceptance of herself, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is what gives her the strength to move forward with confidence. Ooh. Self-awareness also allows a woman to uncover her deepest desires and motivations. When she spends time alone, she tunes out the noise of the world and listens to her own voice. She begins to understand what truly matters to her, not what others expect of her, not what society tells her she should want, but what she wants. This clarity of purpose becomes her compass, guiding her decisions and actions. A woman with a clear sense of purpose is unstoppable because she no longer wastes time chasing things that don't align with her true self. She focuses on one thing. She does not waver from her purpose. She has clarity on her purpose. One of the most dangerous aspects of self-awareness is that it frees a woman from the need for external validation. She no longer seeks approval from others because she knows who she is. She recognizes her strengths and her worth, and she doesn't need anyone else to confirm it for her. This independence is powerful. It allows her to set boundaries, to say no without guilt, and to walk away from people and situations that don't serve her. A self-aware woman doesn't stay in places where she is undervalued or disrespected. She knows her worth, and she's not afraid to demand it. Another transformative aspect of self-awareness is the ability to recognize and control emotional triggers. A woman who knows herself deeply understands what makes her angry, what makes her sad, and what makes her fearful. Instead of reacting impulsively, she responds thoughtfully. This emotional intelligence allows her to navigate challenges with grace and resilience. She doesn't let her emotions control her. She uses them as tools for growth and understanding. This makes her a force to be reckoned with because she cannot be easily manipulated or swayed. Self-awareness also brings with it the ability to recognize patterns, both positive and negative, in her life. She begins to see the habits, beliefs, and behaviors that have been holding her back, and she takes steps to change them. She stops blaming others for her circumstances and takes full responsibility for her life. This accountability is powerful because it puts her in the driver's seat. She no longer feels like a victim of her circumstances. She becomes the architect of her future. When a woman is self-aware, she becomes deeply connected to her intuition. She learns to trust that inner voice that tells her when something is right or wrong, even when there's no logical explanation. This connection to her intuition makes her fearless in decision-making because she knows she can rely on herself. She doesn't second-guess her choices or look to others for guidance. She moves with certainty, even in the face of uncertainty. Finally, self-awareness empowers a woman to step into her authenticity. She stops trying to be what others want her to be and starts being exactly who she is. This authenticity is magnetic. It draws people to her, not because she's trying to impress them, but because she's real, unapologetic, and fully herself. And when a woman stands in her truth, she inspires others to do the same. The strength that comes from self-awareness is quiet but undeniable. It's the kind of strength that allows a woman to walk into any room and hold her head high, not because she's perfect, but because she knows who she is. She's not afraid of her own reflection. She embraces it. She doesn't fear judgment because she's already accepted herself. That kind of self-awareness is rare, it's powerful, and it's dangerous to self-doubt, to fear, and to anything that tries to hold her back. Facing negative feelings is one of the most challenging yet transformative acts a person can undertake. Most people spend their lives running from discomfort, masking their pain, or avoiding their fears, thinking that ignoring these emotions will make them disappear. But the truth is, what we resist persists. A woman who dares to face her negative feelings instead of running from them steps into her power. She becomes someone who is not controlled by fear or consumed by doubt, but someone who uses her emotions as tools for growth and transformation. Negative feelings, whether it's fear, sadness, anger, or disappointment, are not enemies. They are signals. They are messages from within, pointing to areas of our lives that need attention, healing, or change. A woman who spends time alone learns to listen to these messages instead of shutting them out. She doesn't view her feelings as weaknesses or as something to be ashamed of. Instead, she welcomes them as part of her humanity. In doing so, she transforms pain into power and struggle into strength. The first step in facing negative feelings is acknowledging their presence. This takes courage because it's far easier to distract ourselves or pretend everything is fine. But avoidance only pushes the emotions deeper, where they fester and grow. A woman who faces her feelings head-on chooses to sit with the discomfort, no matter how unsettling it might be. She allows herself to feel the weight of sadness, the sting of anger, or the heaviness of fear. By giving herself permission to feel, she begins to take control of her emotions rather than letting them control her. When she sits with her emotions, she begins to uncover the root cause of her pain. Negative feelings often have deeper layers: unmet expectations, unresolved trauma, or limiting beliefs about herself or the world. By asking herself honest and probing questions, she peels back these layers and gains insight into what's truly causing her distress. This kind of introspection isn't easy, but it is necessary. It's in this process of digging deep that she begins to heal. Facing negative feelings also teaches resilience. Life will always have its challenges, its setbacks, and its heartbreaks. But a woman who has confronted her emotions learns that she is stronger than she once believed. She understands that no matter how overwhelming the feelings might seem, they're temporary. They will pass, just as they have in the past. This knowledge gives her confidence. She no longer fears the storms of life because she knows she has the strength to weather them. As she confronts her feelings, she also learns the power of self-compassion. It's easy to be harsh with ourselves when we're struggling. We tell ourselves we should be stronger, happier, or more successful. But a woman who faces her negative feelings understands that self-compassion is not weakness. It is a lifeline. She learns to speak to herself with kindness and gentleness, reminding herself that it's okay to not have all the answers, that it's okay to feel pain, and that she is worthy of love and acceptance even in her darkest moments. Another transformative aspect of facing negative feelings is the clarity it brings. When a woman runs from her emotions, she often feels stuck or confused because she hasn't addressed the root cause of her discomfort. But by confronting her feelings, she gains a deeper understanding of herself and her situation. She can identify what needs to change, whether it's a relationship, a mindset, or a circumstance, and take actionable steps toward that change. This clarity empowers her to move forward with purpose and direction. Facing negative feelings also builds emotional intelligence. A woman who has confronted her own pain becomes more empathetic and understanding toward others. She recognizes the struggles and emotions of those around her because she has walked through the fire herself. This makes her not only stronger but also more compassionate, a combination that allows her to connect with others on a deeper level. Ultimately, facing negative feelings is not about eliminating them. It's about transforming them. It's about taking the raw, unpolished parts of life and turning them into something meaningful and beautiful. It's about learning to see challenges not as barriers, but as opportunities for growth. A woman who masters this skill becomes unshakable. She knows that no matter what life throws at her, she has the tools and the strength to overcome it. When she stops running from her emotions and starts facing them, she frees herself from their control. She no longer lives in fear of what might come next because she trusts herself to handle it. She becomes a woman who is not just surviving, but thriving. Someone who stands tall even in the face of adversity. And that kind of strength, that kind of courage is what makes her truly unstoppable. The mind is where every battle begins and ends. It is the space where dreams are born, fears are nurtured, and decisions are made. For a woman who spends time alone, the mind becomes both her greatest ally and her fiercest opponent. In solitude, she is confronted with the raw, unfiltered reality of her thoughts. There are no distractions to drown out the voices in her head, both the empowering ones that push her forward and the limiting ones that hold her back. This is where the real fight happens. The battlefield is not external, it is internal, and the outcome of this battle determines the direction of her life. A woman who understands that her mind is a battlefield knows that every thought has the power to shape her reality. The thoughts she chooses to dwell on become her beliefs, and her beliefs dictate her actions. If she allows negative, self-defeating thoughts to take root, they will grow into doubts, fears, and insecurities that paralyze her. But if she chooses to replace those thoughts with empowering ones, she arms herself with confidence, determination, and resilience. The mind can either be a place of liberation or prison, and the choice is hers to make. The first step in mastering this battlefield is recognizing the negative narratives that play on repeat in her mind. These are the quiet whispers that say, "You're not good enough," "You'll never succeed," or "You're not as capable as others." These thoughts often come from past experiences, failures, rejections, or criticisms that have left their mark. They feel so familiar that they seem true, but they are not. A woman who spends time alone learns to question these narratives. She asks herself, is this thought serving me? Is it based on fact, or is it a story I've been telling myself for too long? By challenging these thoughts, she begins to dismantle their power. Once she recognizes the negative patterns in her mind, she can start replacing them with positive, empowering ones. This isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing a mindset that supports her growth instead of hindering it. For example, instead of thinking, "I can't do this," she tells herself, "I'll figure this out." Instead of focusing on what she lacks, she focuses on what she has and what she's capable of achieving. This shift in perspective doesn't happen overnight, but with practice, it becomes a new way of thinking. And when her thoughts change, so does her reality. The mind as a battlefield is also where fear takes center stage. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions, and it has the ability to stop even the most determined person in their tracks. But a woman who spends time alone learns to confront her fears instead of running from them. She understands that fear is often a projection of the unknown, a mental construct that grows when left unchecked. By facing her fears head on, she discovers that most of them are not as insurmountable as they seem. Fear loses its grip on her when she chooses to act despite it. In solitude, she also learns to control her inner dialogue. The way she speaks to herself matters deeply. A harsh, critical inner voice can become her greatest enemy, while a compassionate, encouraging voice can become her greatest supporter. She practices speaking to herself the way she would speak to someone she loves, with kindness, understanding, and encouragement. When she stumbles, she doesn't berate herself. She reminds herself that failure is part of growth. When she feels overwhelmed, she doesn't give up. She tells herself that she has the strength to keep going. This practice of self-compassion transforms her inner battlefield into a place of peace and empowerment. Another key part of winning the battle of the mind is learning to focus. In a world filled with distractions, it's easy to let the mind wander aimlessly. But a woman who spends time alone learns the power of focus. She trains her mind to concentrate on what truly matters, her goals, her values, and her purpose. She doesn't waste energy on things she cannot control or on thoughts that do not serve her. This mental discipline allows her to channel her energy into meaningful actions, creating a life that aligns with her vision. Ultimately, the mind is a battlefield where the fight for self-mastery takes place. It's not a fight against external enemies, but against the doubts, fears, and limitations within. A woman who emerges victorious from this battle is one who has learned to control her thoughts instead of being controlled by them. She understands that her mind is her most powerful tool, and she uses it to create the life she wants. When she masters her mind, she becomes unstoppable. She is no longer held back by fear, self-doubt, or negativity. Instead, she moves through life with clarity, confidence, and purpose. She is not just surviving, she is thriving. And that kind of strength, the ability to conquer the battlefield of the mind, is what makes her truly powerful. Pain is one of life's most powerful teachers. Though it often arrives uninvited and in forms we never anticipate. It is raw, intense, and at times overwhelming. But pain, when faced and embraced, has the power to transform. A woman who endures pain and allows herself to move through it does not remain the same. She emerges from the experience changed, stronger, and more deeply connected to herself. Pain, in many ways, is the birthplace of rebirth. A process that strips away what no longer serves her and makes room for something new to grow. The process of rebirth through pain begins with the acceptance of suffering. Most people resist pain, trying to avoid or numb it, but pain demands to be felt. It will not be ignored. When a woman stops running from her pain and instead sits with it, she acknowledges her humanity. She recognizes that pain is not a sign of weakness or failure, but a natural part of life. By embracing this truth, she takes the first step toward transformation. Pain often forces us to confront parts of ourselves we would rather avoid. It reveals our vulnerabilities, fears, and insecurities. In these moments, it may feel like everything is falling apart, but this dismantling is necessary for growth. A woman who allows herself to feel the depth of her pain begins to uncover hidden truths about herself. She learns what truly matters to her, what she can live without, and what she needs to let go of. This process of introspection is painful, but it is also clarifying. Pain burns away the illusions and distractions, leaving only what is real and essential. Through pain, she also discovers her resilience. There's a point in suffering where it feels impossible to continue, where the weight of the pain seems too much to bear. But when she pushes through, she realizes she is stronger than she ever imagined. Each moment of endurance adds to her strength. Each tear shed becomes part of her healing. And each scar tells a story of survival. This resilience becomes a cornerstone of her rebirth, a reminder that she is capable of facing life's storms and coming out on the other side. Pain also has a way of breaking open the heart. While it may initially feel like it closes her off from the world, over time it can create a deeper capacity for empathy and connection. A woman who has known pain understands the struggles of others in a way that only experience can teach. Her own suffering becomes a bridge, allowing her to connect with others on a profound level. This newfound compassion is part of her rebirth, a reminder that even in her darkest moments, she is capable of love, both for herself and for others. Rebirth through pain also involves learning to let go. Pain often arises from holding on to what no longer serves us. Relationships, expectations, or versions of ourselves that no longer align with who we are becoming. Letting go is one of the hardest lessons pain teaches, but it is also one of the most liberating. When a woman releases what is weighing her down, she creates space for new opportunities, new connections, and new growth. This act of surrender is not a sign of defeat. It is an act of courage. It is the realization that growth requires shedding old layers to make way for something new. As she moves through her pain, a woman also begins to rebuild. This rebuilding is slow and deliberate as she pieces herself back together in a way that is stronger and more authentic than before. She takes the lessons her pain has taught her and uses them as the foundation for her new self. She no longer views her scars as reminders of what she has lost, but as symbols of what she has survived. These scars become her strength, a testament to her resilience and her capacity for transformation. The rebirth through pain is not just about survival. It is about thriving. It is about emerging from the fire with a deeper sense of purpose and a clearer understanding of who she is. Pain has a way of stripping away what is superficial and leaving behind only what is true. A woman who has undergone this transformation knows herself in a way she never did before. She is no longer afraid of life's challenges because she has faced her pain and come out stronger. She carries with her a quiet confidence, an inner strength that cannot be shaken. This rebirth is not the end of her journey, but the beginning of a new chapter. Pain has shaped her, but it does not define her. What defines her is her ability to rise, to rebuild, and to embrace the new version of herself that has emerged. She is no longer the same woman she was before the pain, and that is her power. She has been through the fire and come out not as ashes, but as something renewed, something unstoppable. Now, negative feelings can feel like a storm pulling us into cycles of doubt, sadness, or fear. They have the power to cloud our judgment, sap our energy, and make us feel stuck. But one of the most effective ways to overcome these feelings is to anchor ourselves in purpose. Purpose acts as a guiding light, cutting through the fog of negativity and giving us a sense of direction, meaning, and motivation. When a woman connects with her purpose, she transforms her struggles into stepping stones, using her pain to fuel her progress instead of holding her back. Purpose is not something we stumble upon by accident. It is something we cultivate through introspection and intentionality. When a woman spends time alone, she gains the clarity needed to uncover what truly matters to her. Negative feelings often arise when we feel disconnected from ourselves, from others, or from the things that give our lives meaning. Purpose helps to bridge that gap. It gives us a reason to wake up in the morning, a reason to push forward even when life feels heavy. It shifts our focus from what's wrong to what's possible. One of the ways purpose helps overcome negative feelings is by reframing how we see challenges. Without purpose, obstacles can feel insurmountable, and pain can seem pointless. But when a woman is driven by purpose, she begins to see challenges as part of the journey rather than the end of it. She recognizes that every setback, every disappointment, and every struggle is an opportunity for growth. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" she asks, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective doesn't make the pain disappear, but it gives it meaning, making it easier to endure and overcome. Purpose also has the power to redirect our energy. Negative feelings often come from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, things we cannot control. But when a woman is focused on her purpose, her energy is directed toward what she can control, her actions, her mindset, and her goals. Purpose pulls her out of the spiral of overthinking and into the present moment where real change happens. It becomes a source of momentum, pushing her to take steps forward, no matter how small they may seem. Another way purpose helps combat negative feelings is by fostering a sense of contribution. When a woman aligns her life with her purpose, she often finds herself making a positive impact on others, whether it's through her work, her relationships, or her passions. She discovers that her life has value and meaning beyond herself. This sense of contribution can be deeply healing. It reminds her that she is not alone, that her struggles have a purpose, and that she has the power to make a difference in the world. Helping others often has the unexpected effect of helping herself, creating a cycle of positivity and fulfillment. Purpose also builds resilience. A woman with a clear sense of purpose doesn't crumble under the weight of negativity. She rises above it. She understands that her purpose is bigger than her temporary feelings, bigger than the setbacks she faces. This resilience doesn't mean she won't feel pain or doubt. It means she refuses to let those feelings define her. Her purpose becomes her anchor, grounding her in moments of uncertainty and giving her the strength to keep moving forward. Finding purpose is not always easy, especially when negative feelings are overwhelming. But even the process of seeking purpose can be transformative. It requires a woman to ask herself the tough questions. What do I care about most? What makes me feel alive? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? These questions force her to look beyond her pain and into the possibilities of what her life can become. The answers may not come immediately, but the act of seeking them shifts her focus from her problems to her potential. Purpose also allows a woman to rewrite her story. Negative feelings often come from the stories we tell ourselves. Stories of failure, inadequacy, or hopelessness. But when a woman finds her purpose, she begins to see herself as more than her mistakes or her struggles. She becomes the hero of her own story, someone who is capable of overcoming adversity and achieving greatness. Her purpose gives her the power to redefine what her life means, turning even the darkest moments into part of a larger, meaningful narrative. Ultimately, purpose is not just about achieving goals or fulfilling ambitions. It's about living a life that feels authentic and aligned with one's values. A woman who lives with purpose doesn't let negative feelings control her. She acknowledges them, learns from them, and then uses them as fuel to move closer to the life she envisions. Purpose becomes her compass, her motivator, and her source of strength. And with that kind of clarity and determination, there is no storm she cannot weather.